Hello everyone, and I have Amit with me, and we are talking about PMP Success Story today. And Amit has done his PMP, I think last week, yeah, if I'm not wrong, or maybe a
2 weeks.
few days more, yeah. And we will learn about his success and his PMP journey. But before we get started, why don't Amit you introduce yourself and then we take it forward?
So thank you, Saket. Uh, my name is Amit Biniwale. I am a engineer by profession, mechanical engineer. I am working in pharmaceutical industries from last 24 years. I working in the maintenance and the project field. So I have done a lot of projects in the during the pharmaceutical industries, and I am right now heading a project department in one of the multinational company situated in Hyderabad.
Okay. So mechanical pharmaceutical project. So in a way, we can say that there is a manufacturing company and they need to keep doing upgrade, maintenance, and new setups and those kind of a projects, which involves setup up and maintenance are the thing which you work on. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. What makes you think about PMP? Like from where the motivation of doing PMP started?
So basically, as I told you, I come from pharmaceutical background, which is a non-IT background, and normally the projects in this field is a predictive type of projects. So we have a very specific phase of the projects, and you have to follow that, and you have to complete. So the person who want to do a projects, we are more focused on the technical skill of the project, how he know about the technical knowledge of that related fields and how it is going to demonstrate it. And we are less focused on how the management of that project. But you know that during the project which I have done, I face majorly three problems. First, my project get delayed. Okay. Second, I was overrun. Third, my user is not satisfied whatever I do. So I was little bit I can say confused that how do I do these things, because I do a great technical knowledge. I engage a lot technical experts in the field. I do all their requirements, but the problem I was facing is that the scope of the project gets changed, and I was very difficult to handle that change, than pharmaceuticals, because all these infrastructure projects are very long projects, and any scope changes, it is very difficult to adopt it. So
Mhm.
I was very much I can say during this all these things, I was not been very much familiar that how do I handle all these things.
Mhm.
And then I come to know that I should have to do some project management course. And in the when I go into market, there are a lot of project management courses now available. You can say there are a lot of agency, there are a lot of institutes who are presenting. But during last of my projects, one of my the senior, Mr. Dr. Rastogi, has been told me that you can go with the PMP. And then I was gone through the PMP content, which are actually talking about my problem, how to handle the scope, how to handle the schedule. And I thought that this is the right course to go for that one. So I thought
Okay.
that this is the thing I should has to go for it, and that's why I adopted for the PMP. But I
Good.
can
Good.
tell you that one thing, before I choose the PMP, I have a very apprehension about the PMP, because that PMP, the myth is that it is the PMP is for the IT people. So a lot
Mhm.
of my lot of my friends who are in IT, they have done the PMP, and they said, okay, if you want to be successful in IT, you require to PMP. So in my mind, or it was been like the perception has happened that IT PMP. So I was
Mhm.
a little
Mhm.
bit influenced at what is for me in this PMP, because my projects is something very different from the IT, which is
Mhm.
my perception before I when I joined PMP. But after that, it was changed.
Okay,
So
we will learn about that. So the basically, if I get it right, your primary motivation for doing project management or PMP certification was to learn the skills so that you can improve your own execution and your day-to-day working. And then the mentor advised you to explore, and then you started getting into it. Yeah.
correct.
Great. So now when you talk about PMP preparation, as you said that many people are who are doing PMP, even in your class, you may find a lot of people coming from IT background, and you see a lot of IT background, especially after this agile introduction. So like what you felt while you went through the whole content as a manufacturing project manager, if I use that word. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so what I see, I'll tell you that how I see my stories like this. I appear for PMP. I had done this the classes, and then I was disconnected. So I was
Mhm.
disconnected for quite a long time, for 5 months. So when I was first of all, I will tell you the experience of what is this class experience for me. So when I was going through this content, the difficulty for me is I come from the predictive type of life cycle. So I can say, if I in simple languages like that, my phases are very defined. We are not changing that phases. So when I was dealing with the when I was going with Agile, and Agile was telling that you are always has to go back, you have to plan to first of all, it was very difficult for me to digest the things that it is going to happen in the and then when I was starting when I was going through the Agile and starting understanding the concept, and I found that it is very relevant to the whole project. Irrespective of you are been doing a construction projects, if you are doing a manufacturing or doing IT, it is the now the core of this project. So Agile is the core of that projects. So first it was very difficult to understand, but as soon as I was going through it, and then when I was relating with my work, it was like that, yes, it is not rocket science, or it is not a very different concept. It is the same concept we are utilizing in our day-to-day life, but it is very more structured way they have put up these things. So
Perfect.
Agile way, it is it's actually work. So it is like that, you Agile having a ocean, and you can take whatever you can utilize for yourself. So you have to
Perfect.
customize everything.
Perfect, perfect. And that's what the in the PMP language we keep calling hybrid. And it's all about the seeing which part of my project component is flexible, which part of my project component is not flexible. Yeah, there could be things which has high cost of change. So I would try to get the predictable requirement and scoping for those areas. But there will be many areas where the cost of change is not that high and the requirements are uncertain. So I will be open to satisfy my customer even at the later stage if they are looking for some configuration change, some setup change and all. So those things may not necessarily need to be baseline from the beginning itself. Yeah, that's probably we can
Correct,
make up.
correct,
Yes. Yeah, yeah,
correct, absolutely correct.
yeah. Good.
So so second part, I just like to share that how do I pass the PMP exam, because that's also a very interesting for me. Uh, when I decided to go for PMP, it was something late in last August month. I joined your class, and when I complete in September month, and I was so normal strategy of PMP exam is that you do the class, then you do a study, go for the mock test. If you are good in the mock test, appear for the exam. So this is a standard strategy has happened for me. As soon as I complete the class, I was disconnected for at least 5 months due to some other commitments. So somewhere in the somewhere in the fame, it is very interestingly, I was then I come to, so it wasn't for me is like that. If I don't do now, I will never do these things, because it was so disconnected. So I contacted Neeta, your colleagues, and
Yeah.
she said that if you want to do this one, you do one thing, you just registered yourself for the exam, because without that you cannot happen. And then I take a 4.5 week gap, and I registered for that exams. And then when I start preparing, what the problem with me is preparing is that I was totally disconnected. So it is very difficult for to revise me myself to all these things. So what I done is here, Saket, is that because I come from the background of this predictive type of life cycle, so I know the phases. So what I done, I put that as a reference, and then I studied the Agile, and I say how is connect, how is connect, how is connect. So it will easy for me to get that connected, to get the concept of the Agile in there. And second thing what I done is that then I gone through the 1 hour exams questions which we have done, and
Mm-hmm.
after the question answers, I always go to the answer of that wrong questions, so that I should have to work on the concept. So I basically I focus on the concepts, what are the concepts has been told in the agile, and what is my understanding. So it will give me a more clarity on the concept. So when the PMP exams happen, and you know that PMP exams, they are giving the situation, and there are the some couple of options are there, and then I can able with my concepts I can able to give the
Mm-hmm.
answers to them. So
So
it's was a really fun for me, that because most of the situation which has been tell in the, or which has been described in the exams, I can relate it, because I somehow I was gone through that type of situation. So it will help me out to find out, to connect it to with the concept.
perfect. So actually, the PMP exam does not require too much preparation. The preparation is only to understand the jargons and the language. Once we
Correct.
understand the language, the exam is just based on situations. And if someone has done the project management, they will figure it out of the possible four options, which one will be suitable here. That's the only thing one has to do. But yeah, some amount of understanding and literature is needed so that you start catching the words, because in your own organization you might be calling something else. You might be calling a thing B, and PMP may call it A, and that's the whole confusion which can come. And that's why we need to just understand the terminologies and take some practice, and then we are ready. Nothing else is needed. Yeah.
And what I also understand, Saket, is that when I was in my day-to-day life of these projects, we actually use the concept of agile, like a
Mm-hmm.
scrum, or daily meetings, the iterative planning, collaborative planning. We do all these things, but it was not so much organized way. We call it
Mm-hmm.
as a firefighting mode. And then when you are in the firefighting mode, you do all these things in the different way, and that is nothing but the agile. What I can I relate that one?
Perfect, perfect. So many times what happens is when we plan very predictively, but our reality is not that predictive, yeah, and we end up into the chaos space then, because we wanted
Correct.
things to go in a way, but the reality was not A. And then there is a chaos, and that chaos requires firefighting, and that makes it agile at during that duration, because things are not going
Exactly.
as per plan. Yeah? And now you
Correct.
have to look at it all the time. And usually whatever, even in the IT space also, whenever we use non-agile process, towards the end, when the thing starts going to the customer, and when the final duration of the projects, it always finishes with firefighting. Yeah. So that final thing is the agile phase, which we end up doing all the time, most of the time, rather than all the time. Yeah, but that's true. Yeah. Great. But what I'm sensing from your preparation is that you were primarily focusing on agile part of the preparation, because you sense that predictive I can take care, and I just need to handle the agile. And what I'm learning is that your style of learning agile was that thinking about your current way of working and trying to see, like, okay, we do daily meeting, we do replanning, we do progressive planning, we do issue management, and we do this kind of a collaboration, frequent reporting, or visual boards, so that people can see what is working and what is not working, and then trying to
Correct.
understand the agile process. That's what I'm
Correct.
getting here. Yeah.
Yeah, and one more thing here, Saket, is that see, I also I don't know whether you have been gone through that. We are right now using a lean construction concept in the industries right now in infrastructural. We are using a lean construction. So basically, previously lean is actually utilizing for the operational stuff, but now the new theory is coming that you can use a lean in the construction, because in the construction industries, in the projects, there are a lot of things which are very repetitive type. So if when you are going to control the things, you should not, you cannot go like a project. It should be like on operations you have to go. So then we are actually working on the lean construction concepts, and we are implementing in our existing projects. So there also we are actually talking about what is the value to the customer,
Mm-hmm.
what how do we plan, because to so we can deliver the value to the systems. And I can see the same thing within agile.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
it is very easy for me, then it will get me very easy that okay, this is a lean, this is my predictive, and this is and then agile, and this is a combination. So it will be help me to understand it very clearly on this one.
Yeah. And the on-demand scheduling, that part of the agile lesson which we learned, on-demand scheduling is pretty much matching with what you are talking about, lean construction. And I also remember Dr. Rastogi were working on that. I met him 10 years
Yes.
ago when he was doing all this thing. Incidentally, he enrolled to our PMI ACP thing when 10 years ago. And then when I was in Hyderabad, he came to meet me. And also I get that idea that, okay, this whole thing is working. Yeah.
Correct.
Great. So lean construction connect also you could relate to that particular thing. And I am sensing is that other strategy you applied is, so you applied the connection of lean and on-demand scheduling, you applied the connection of what you are working, and the thing is a practicing the question. So if I talk about exam, so you pick up the 50 question set, 1 hour question set for agile. We have a 3 such test if I am not wrong. And then you did that, analyze those things, and I think that gave you the confidence to handle those particular questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mostly I look out the where we are wrong, and because there is a very good explanations given below that or every questions, and that questions that answers are actually talking about the concepts, why this concept is right and why this concept are not. It is not saying the wrong, but it is say that it is what is the preferable question. So what will happen that it will be make you clarify that why this concept is you should put a priority, why should not then. Because in the PMP exams they use the same concepts with a different questions, so that they just testing that whether you can understand this concept very correctly or not.
Perfect. Yeah.
So that's why I think that what I get the benefit from the question answer is that it gives me the refinement of my concepts and understanding.
Perfect. And I do believe, and my belief about this thing is increasing day by day. In the PMP exam or even in the practice test, the question itself is not complete. The question gets completed when we look at the options. So the question itself is not giving you anything. We need to see question and the 4 options. And now we need to see in the context, okay, this information is given, these 4 options are given. With this information and these 4 options, which one is suitable? So I can't just universally answer the question.
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
Great. Now the people side of things. So I'm not discussing the predictive part of it. The people part of it, dealing with conflicts and all those, servant leadership and training, mentoring, developing people and all those things. Many times these things are also more associated with agile ways of working. Like they can be definitely applied to predictive way of working is, but in general, people think the predictive way of working is usually command and control, telling people to do something. Whereas an agile way of doing things is more like development oriented, collaboration oriented, and overall servant leadership oriented. So what you felt and how you prepared yourself about the people side of PMP questions.
So what you say is correctly think is that the collaborative way of working, because nowadays in this our world, demand, or we can say dominating type of will not work, because there are a lot of people, lot of agencies are involved in the projects, and when you are trying to get the work from them, you cannot be always been directive or with dominating them. So you always to have a do a servant type of leadership things. So when you are being servant type leadership team, the major benefit what I see is that the people take the ownership of the things, and they done the better job. So I was actually practicing these things in my work from last couple of years, and it was benefiting me. And I can find out the same thing when I was doing the agile. When agile is talking about how can you facilitate, how can you develop the people, how can you collaborate the people, so the people can take the ownership. And I found that it is a very much relevant to the nowadays, because you are getting a lot of experts around you. You are see now the I can say like this: if I look out 10 year backs, the project how I handle, and now how I handle, the major difference is that 10 years backs you have a whole team under you. Because if I say I am a company owner, so so all are my employees, so I can dictate, I can guide them. But nowadays the project is not like that. There are a lot of contacts are coming, lot of companies are coming, they're connected to each other. So you connect, you do the job, and you disconnect it. So this time with dominations, it is not going to be work. So here you need to be work with the collaboration with the people, so that people can sense their purpose and they can do. And I found that it is very much in the which is in the agile. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why what is, I think, the success of Agile is that like the people take the ownership of the things, and accordingly they perform, and that is way Agile works. The whole thing, all the structure, all these things are only to facilitate the people to get into one direction.
Perfect.
So
Perfect.
I
Yeah.
can building the team is the main motto of Agile. If you build the team very well, rest night there is a major 90% has already done.
Perfect. So what I'm sensing here is that you do appreciate, even in the irrespective of the life cycle, as the work is becoming more and more complex, more parties, agencies, vendors, experts are getting involved. It's becoming more and more difficult to give you set of people 100%, and then you can just get the work done with those people alone. You need to take advices, you need to take references, deliveries, and that requires relationship building, that requires engagement building, and just making the perfect plan and hoping everybody will execute will not work. So you see that thing was under practice, yeah, like you were doing, you were appreciating it, and you also see that, yeah, it is more relates with agile ways of working, but at the same time, it is something modern way of dealing with people. So I usually work, okay, the people domain of PMI, we can say it's a modern way of doing things with individuals and people, rather than not necessarily you label it agile or not, but yeah, it's a modern way of doing management, and better we learn that modern way of doing management, and then also secure our PMP questions. So I'm hoping that you found the people domain questions pretty comfortable dealing with, like any experience related to those questions.
Okay, I make a one strategy here. When I was going to the 50 notes, 1 hour questions,
Yeah.
50 questions. So when I was going through the answers, so there are very keywords coming always. Suppose if you are not from the background of where you are dealing with the people or those things. So what I done is that I understand some keyword like facilitations, collaborations, development. You can have a face-to-face talk. So this type of words, when it comes, definitely I just say that this is the right answer, right option for me, irrespective of what, if I don't answer, if I don't read the question also. Because uh, when you work with the people, I understand that this type of the emotional intelligence, you has to be you should know, and then you would apply. You definitely they works there. So I work like that. So for me, the people answering the people question was very quite easy for me, because I understand this 8 to 10 type of keywords and their concepts. If they
Mm-hmm.
are mentioning somewhere in the options, definitely this option is going to be the answer
Mm-hmm.
of that
Mm-hmm.
preferable answer of the question. So I use
Okay.
that, and I answer the questions of people.
Yeah. So what I'm getting is that you picked up the key skills which are needed for people management or people development, and the key terms which are associated with them, like facilitation, coaching, mentoring, listening,
Correct.
developing people, like those kind of things, servant leadership in some cases. And when you see these words coming in, you understand that's going to be a preferred option, because it
Preferred
is
options.
giving the indication which usually believed to be a good thing when we are dealing with people. Yeah, that's something I'm guessing here. Yeah,
Correct. Correct.
perfect. So once Seema decided to recommend you 4.5 week timeline and you booked it, so how those 4.5 week went? You made your project schedule and you mapped it with the agile ways of working. Anything else you did during those 4.5 weeks? Yeah.
Okay, so when I talked with, I still remember my first talk with the Seema, and the Seema was talked about the two things. One thing is that I told you that she said that you book the date, and second thing is that okay, only focus on this in the Campus that platform. We have a preparatory videos series there. She that okay, you go for lesson 2, lesson 3, lesson 4, and then after that you appear for the exams, and then you do. It's look very simple for me. Okay, I have to go, but when I was actually planning it, it was very difficult to get the time. So what I done is that when I driving, because I have to drive an hour every day to and fro. So I used to start my videos, because I just want to listen to what they're happening. I don't want to require to this. And then I was when I was running on morning, I just put up that videos on that. So that time I utilized to listen the videos. And then what I done is that whenever I go for lunch, breakfast, I go through that the flashcards.
Mhm.
which you had been in the squad. So I take a printout, I go to flashcard. So flashcards help me out to because it has happened that I get stuck with some word terminology, some concepts, and that flashcard helped me to know the definition of this one. And it's happened that if I go through video and if I don't get the concept, I stop it, I go back to the PMBOK videos, and then I start that. So this way, what I done is that the first of all thing, I go like that concept wise, and I say I utilize the time because 8 to 9 hours I have to work in the office. So rest without family, I just use this for the traveling time, the my fitness time. I use that times to get it things. And Saturday Sunday I mostly do this test. I hardly take a 2 to 3 week, 2 to 3 Saturday Sunday I got, but I try to get it the question answers stunning. I can share you that I had done only one mock test. It's a 3.5 hours. It was very difficult for me because after so long time to sit so for a long time, it's very difficult. So then I preferred only for 1 hour question, 1 hour's test. It will easy for me to go give the test
Yeah, good,
answers.
good, good, good,
But
good.
that's helped me out. So what I said that yeah, in nutshell is that I use the time which is when I travel, when I do some which is non-value editing activity. So to listen, I listen it, then I read the flashcards, and then I go with the smaller notes which I prepared that one, and then Saturday, Sunday, or Sunday I go for the test. So this way
Mhm.
I plan it, and I thought that it works for me because I was more focusing, as I told you, I'm more focusing on the concept. So as soon as I get concept clearation, I was getting the confidence that okay, I know these things, I can handle that.
Okay.
And
So
I
what?
and that
Yeah.
PMP exams, when I appear for the PMP exam, it was a very smooth because they are giving you, I think, a 10 minutes break after the your 60 questions. So you cannot be stressed. It will be very relaxed on, and it gives me a very relaxing. What I done is that I normally I finish my work normally what I done is I finish all my questions, then I stop, and then I review back. I got a time to review back, then I take a break, again come back. So for me, PMP, when I what was I thinking before I was giving a PMP exam is I was thought that 4 hours I have to sit continuously. It was very difficult for me, but it's not like the case. They are giving a lot, they are giving the break which you can utilize very well, and then refresh yourself, you can go back. So I suggest that PMP exam is not so much difficult nowadays. Before
Perfect.
that it was we have to do a lot of calculations, a lot of writing. I never use a pen, nothing I have to use there, this one.
Perfect.
So
So what I'm sensing here is, and that's the PMI adaptation as well. So PMI is no more testing your technical or too calculative skills nowadays. They are primarily focusing on how much you understand project management, how much you understand people side of it, how do you deal with the situations. And if someone is doing project management for a while, and then they just get familiarity with the terminologies by way of listening or by way of reading those terms, and then they validate their understanding and the scenarios which are coming in the PMP setup by way of mock test. That is good enough. So you understand the question, you use your own experience, and then you apply that experience, find out the best out of it, and then you validate, okay, am I doing it right? Am I mapping my experience? Because there is a possibility some experiences may not be mapping directly with the PMP exam. So I identify where I need to behave differently, and in those some terminologies, if something is missing, then I go to a detailed content. We have so much videos content available where the detailed content can help. But if everything is going good, I take a shortcut path, which is a PMP exam prep course reference, and then I just keep taking those things and take practice tests, and that's good enough for preparing for the exam, yeah, and getting certified. Yeah, good. Anything you want to add before we close? Any final words or advice for people who are primarily coming from non-IT background doing the PMP?
I strongly recommend it to do a PMP certification. Uh, those who are not from non-IT background. The reason behind is this. See, the what is happening that in the non-IT background peoples, they do the projects, but they cannot able to see the full life cycle of the projects. They cannot touch the whole part of the lives, the projects, project stages and projects areas. So PMP will provide you the whole big picture, that how the projects start to end, how they are interconnected to each other, what are the tools or technique they are using, and then the agile will give you a more I can say in depth looking out how to deal with the uncertainty, which is the part
Mm-hmm.
of our whole projects. And that gives you the confidence that yes, we can adapt in something in our projects there. So I see that PMP has after this they are changing from PMBOK to the agile. It is now the widen their areas. Now the people who work for I can say construction, who can work for the any marketing, they can come and they can utilize this one. And it is very simple exams. I can say it is not that difficult, which I was thinking it will be more difficult for me, but it is a very simple. If you are been having a fun with the concepts, it's a simple one. So I say I
Excellent.
recommend it to go for the PMP certification.
Thank you. So you see the value in understanding the overall life cycle, what happens before the project, what happens after the project. If I just specifically talk about the business domain, talking about the business case, benefit realization, after the project, organization change management. So there is a content about it, how do you take the deliverable to the organization so you get the whole big picture. And maybe many of the non-IT people were already doing firefighting, but they may get an idea how to organize the firefighting in a better way, means like, yeah, how to do things for that part, how to be a little bit more organized when the things are going very drastically here and there. So that part might be also useful for the people who are coming from non-IT space. Yeah.
Correct. This is a good terminology that you are organizing firefighting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are actually habituated about to doing a firefighting. We are more comfortable with firefighting, and I think agile can be a more structural way of firefighting. Yeah.
Yeah. So the idea here is that what I feel is from my traditional project management background as well, till the time we don't have a firefighting, nothing gets done also, because we
Yes.
can't keep thinking of the perfect day where everything will go as per plan. If you keep thinking like that, it will take another 10 years. So the project will keep getting delayed. So we need to push with risks. We need to push with uncertainties. And then only it will get finished. But when we push it
Correct.
with those risks and uncertainties, then we also face the challenge. You go into the thing and things starts happening, but you have to do it. And that's what the agile part of it, because we can't wait for the perfect day. We go with it, we face the challenges, then we deal with those challenges as we go along, and that's how we get the things done. Yeah.
Correct.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Amit, for taking time and sharing your PMP exam experience. And it's good to see you. You remain connected with our other channels. It's good. Yeah, the clubhouse and other places. So like good to interact with you there as well. And I hope to see you again sometime soon in those channels. Yeah.
Sure. And thank you, Saket, for your guidance, and your team. They are really supported me, because I was been so much nervous before I start. I was taking a decision to do for the PMP certification. But thank you very much for that one.
Perfect. Nice meeting you. Yeah. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi.
Welcome.
Bye bye.